G'day everyone, welcome to Mixed Bag. So we're around following brumbies today. So where I ride there's a fair bit of wild horses, kangaroos and other animals, and they make quite good footpads. So over the years I've been following those. Little double log to start. There's another log around the corner here. So a new log across the track and I don't see, and managed to still steer around it. Again, my preferred method for clearing logs is to compress the front forks and to get some rebound out of the forks, and then with a little bit of throttle and weighting the foot pegs, you can drive the back wheel into the log, and that'll help bump jump the bike over it, and that'll maintain the levelness of the bike and allow you to land level or even back wheel first. So I found this to be one of the most successful ways to clear logs, and it's potentially the safest too. Even a small diameter log, 6 inches, 150 mil, has the ability to kick you over the handlebars if the bike rebounds and the seat hits you in the arse quickly. So both those logs I've used the same method. I've compressed the front forks with a dab of brakes or push down on both handlebars and foot pegs, and then with a little bit of throttle and clutch and then weight on the foot pegs, you can drive the rear of the bike into it, and in mountain biking I'd call that bump jump, where I'm trying to use the rebound of the suspension to help project the bike vertically in the air. So there's a couple of new logs here and quite a big log, and to go square at it sort of takes me off my line a little, and because it's quite large you need a little bit of momentum to travel across it, so that changes the idea. Here, you know, like of course you go much faster, but there's logs at sort of chest height and head height, so to minimise the chance of a crash and a puncture wound, I slow down. Certainly when I'm racing to sheep stations, and riding by myself as well. So I use the tree root in the side of that tree to bump me over the little flat spot in the top of that little climb, and it just helps project the bike flat. In a minute here there's a log that's nearly 90 degrees to the track. So what I do with this one is place my left foot on it and compress the front forks and then do a pivot turn. You'll see this one I don't take the back far enough across, and it spins me around a little bit too quick and I'm too close to that tree. Again, I've used the sort of the bump jump method for that pile of logs, where I've come into it with a bit of drive on the front and good weight on the pegs to project the bike up over it. Now this is actually quite a steep little switchback climb, and after this corner, the third corner, there's another log that's 90 degrees off the track. I put my foot down, compress the front forks, and then that lifts the front wheel over it, and again I weight the left foot peg because the right is momentarily off the ground, and drive the pegs into the back end of the log. You can see here I'm complaining about arm pump. The nickname for this track was called the Tantrum Track. The first couple of people I took on it said, "Get me the fuck out of here as quick as you can." This track was originally set up that everything that I was having difficulty with. Switchback corners, rutted corners, and the tree roots just come because of nature. Oh, sorry, the tree logs just come because of nature. Now there's a little root here that I use as a kicker to get me over the fallen tree, and that helps project the bike level. Again, I'm trying to minimise the bike being upset by either too much weight on the front or too much weight on the rear. If I can, I'd have the bike land over everything level or actually rear wheel down. To me, this gives me a more stable feel with the bike. Some people they ride with a front wheel bias, so they have a lot of weight on the front wheel and just let the back kick around. But but I basically came from a mountain bike background, whereas the rear suspension was a little bit better than the front suspension. So I sort of learned from that. Whether it's right or wrong, I don't know, but it makes me feel comfortable and in control in general with the bike. And that's half the battle to increasing your speed, to be able to be comfortable and anticipate what the terrain or what the obstacles are going to do with the bike, so that one, it doesn't upset the bike, so that you're comfortable with maintaining speed or increasing your speed. So I got kicked a little bit sideways there. It wasn't quite square, didn't have enough kind of drive. There's another log here too. So these logs are all 6 to 8 inches size. So if you just plough into them front wheel first and allow the back to hit them, the bike has definitely got enough rebound or compression on the suspension to kick you over the handlebars. Little pile of logs there, wasn't sure if they would move, so a little bit cautious. There's some blackberries and lantana and nasty stuff here. I get hung up on it. I don't like this stuff. I'll slow down and stop rather than it ripping through my clothes or my skin. It attaches to me pretty good. Some parts of Australia it's called wait a while, because you've got to wait while you pull it off your clothes, skin. The barbs are around about 3/8 an inch to ½ inch, so 10 mil to 13 mil, 12.7 mil. So I get through it, roll in neutral, roll out and try and get it off. If I had some secateurs with me or my knife or a bit more time, I would have cut it out. I'll go back and do that at some point. Weeds, nasty. So you can hear the bike as it goes over the logs, so I get quite good drive, and again it allows me to travel across these logs quite well. Now there's a trio of quite big logs here. First one, no dabs, but not enough momentum, so I don't get over it cleanly. Second one, a bit crooked, and I didn't compress the forks hard enough to get enough lift on the front to get it, 3/4 of the way up the log. Third one failed completely on the ground. Now as I pick the bike up, the rear tyre goes underneath the log and essentially won't let me pick the bike up. I motor walk it so that I can get it from underneath, and then decide to go back and try the two that I rode poorly on again. You notice that this time the second log is still not much better. So now these logs are in the foot to 15 inch range, so 300 to 400 millimeters. And then the last log, which is coming up now, is in the meter, so 3 foot to 3 foot to hip height. I don't know what that is. 1400 mils or so. You can see here that handlebars are a long way away, so I'm sitting flat on the seat.
Around the log until the bash plate was flat on the log. 1, gives me some rest. 2, save me falling to the ground. And 3, good place to start.
So although I didn't ride it cleanly, it was still a reasonable outcome. This one I'd still get squirrely. It's got a little kicker. Again, I didn't compress the front enough to get the log up high enough to get me a smooth. So this is a tri-log, so we tri-tree. So the centre had fallen out of the tree, and that obstacle is still about hip height as well. So you've got to have enough momentum so you get the front over and doesn't drop you straight down on the other side. Now that corner is 180 degrees off camber downhill. I should actually increase the radius of that rut to help me maintain a little bit more speed. We come up to another little log here, uphill. So as luck would have it, there was a little stick on the ground, so 100 mil diameter that I used as a kicker. Again, that second one too. compressed the fork, got some drive on the back, and feet weighting the foot pegs again. Now this is quite steep, and we go down quite a steep hill. There's 2 pivot turns on this hill, 4 if you don't get it right, but usually I can ride around the top 2. You'll see it on the way up. Now, nothing ever looks very steep in the video, but this is quite steep. You've got fist-sized rocks that are quite loose, they move around a little bit. You can usually tell by the engine note how slow you're going. There's no drive at all, you know. So I managed to stall there with the rear brake. So then that's a pivot turn then, on the way up, sorry. And I can usually ride around that. And then a little pivot turn there on the way up. So the hill's starting to back off a little bit. I've got a little bit more momentum. So I'm trying to find where some brumbies have walked down here that I can link up another little bit of the track. You can see this is all bushfire affected area as well, so maybe the horses haven't been back in here lately. I'm actually heading back towards a track that I had ridden, but I was just looking around to see if there's any new tracks in the bottom. So now I use the GPS to tell me the difference between where I think I am and where it actually knows I am. Footpads can be quite hard to see, so you can be 2 metres or 6 foot away from them and not pick them up. So I'm back on the footpad now. Again, lots of bushfires in this area. Pretty much the whole of the southeast seaboard of New South Wales and Victoria were affected by the fires. Giant area. Still a little bit hard to follow this footpath. I've got a good idea where I'm going. It's just not sure what's coming up, whether there's any trees or anything. Now we're starting to get into a steeper part of the hill. Coming up to a pivot turn here. Didn't quite get around as much as I would have liked. It's only sort of a quarter of a pivot turn. I can usually ride that part of it, and we've got another pivot turn coming up here, so it's quite steep. And I get that around, but it took me quite close to that tree, so I didn't have an instant drive off, and now I've bogged it down to stall. Now you can usually ride this corner as well, but went a little bit high, so I've just rolled back to try to get a line. We've got our fist-sized rocks up here. You can see that the bike's lugging quite well, but it's still, steep. I was sitting down there for quite a moment of it. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks very much. Please like and subscribe. Thank you.